Opening hook, 30 seconds. You do not have an energy problem. You do not have a motivation problem. You have a movement problem. Your body was designed to move, but modern life has trained you to sit, scroll, wait, complain, and slowly lose your strength. Exercise is not just about losing weight or looking better. Exercise is medicine. Exercise is confidence. Exercise is discipline. And if you ignore it, your body will eventually force you to pay the price. This book is about taking your health back before it is too late. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for motivation. Most people spend their entire lives waiting. Waiting to feel ready. Waiting to have more time. Waiting for Monday. Waiting for the perfect gym. Waiting for more energy. Waiting for motivation. And while they wait, their body gets weaker. Their energy gets lower. Their confidence disappears. Their health slowly breaks down. That is the trap. You think motivation comes first. It does not. Action comes first. That is the truth most people do not want to hear. You are not supposed to feel motivated every day. Nobody does. Even disciplined people do not wake up excited every morning. Even athletes have days when they feel tired. Even successful people have days when they want to stay in bed. The difference is simple. They do it anyway. That is the key. You do not wait to feel like it. You do it anyway. Because motivation is unreliable. Some days you have it. Some days you do not. If you only exercise when you feel motivated, you will fail. You will start strong for 3 days, maybe 1 week. Then life gets busy. You get tired. The weather changes. Your mood changes. And suddenly you stop. One missed day becomes one missed week. One missed week becomes one missed month. Then one day you look in the mirror and wonder what happened. You have a choice. You can keep waiting for motivation. Or you can build discipline. Discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. Discipline is what gets you out of bed early. Discipline is what makes you go for a walk when you feel lazy. Discipline is what makes you train after a long day at work. It is not about motivation. It is about discipline. That is the key. Think about the people who succeed in life. The busy father who still wakes up 30 minutes early to walk. The office worker who goes to the gym after a 10-hour shift. The mother who finds time to stretch, move, and stay active even while taking care of everyone else. These people are not special. They are not luckier than you. They are not more motivated than you. They simply stopped waiting. They made a decision. And that decision changed everything. You need to understand something important. Every time you say, "I will start tomorrow," you are training yourself to stay weak. Every time you say, "I am too tired," you are teaching yourself to quit. Every time you say, "I do not feel like it," you are making excuses stronger than your goals. That is dangerous. Because excuses grow. They get bigger. They get louder. And eventually they become your identity. You become the person who always says they will start next week. The person who always talks about getting healthy. The person who always has a reason. You do not want to become that person. You have a choice. You can be the person who keeps talking. Or you can be the person who starts. Starting does not have to be dramatic. You do not need to run 10 kilometers. You do not need to spend 2 hours in the gym. You do not need perfect shoes, expensive equipment, or a perfect plan. You need movement. That is all. Walk for 10 minutes. Do 10 push-ups. Stretch in the morning. Take the stairs. Park farther away. Stand instead of sit. Move. Because movement creates momentum. And momentum creates motivation. That is the secret. People think motivation creates action. But the opposite is true. Action creates motivation. You go for one walk, and suddenly you feel better. You do one workout, and suddenly you feel stronger. You stay consistent for 1 week, and suddenly you feel proud of yourself. That pride matters. Because when you start keeping promises to yourself, you stop seeing yourself as weak. You stop seeing yourself as lazy. You stop seeing yourself as someone who always quits. And you start becoming someone else. Someone disciplined. Someone reliable. Someone strong. That is what exercise really gives you. It gives you proof. Proof that you can do hard things. Proof that you can stay committed. Proof that you can change. You do not need their permission. You do not need anyone to believe in you before you begin. You do not need applause. You do not need support. You need a decision. A decision that your health matters. A decision that your future matters. A decision that you are done waiting. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. Your body gets weaker. Your habits get worse. Your excuses get stronger. And your confidence disappears. Do not let that happen. Take action now. Not next week. Not next month. Now. Because every day you move, you become stronger. Every day you move, you become healthier. Every day you move, you become more disciplined. That is how transformation begins. Not with motivation. With action. You stopped waiting. You took the first step. Now it is time to understand what happens when you stop moving completely. Chapter 2. Your body is dying from sitting. Most people think danger looks dramatic. They think danger is fast. They think danger is loud. But sometimes danger is silent. Sometimes danger looks like a chair. Sometimes danger looks like 8 hours at a desk. Sometimes danger looks like lying on the couch, scrolling on your phone, telling yourself you will move later. That is how people destroy their health. Slowly. Quietly. 1 hour at a time. Your body was not designed to sit all day. It was designed to move. To walk. To lift. To stretch. To carry. To run. But modern life has turned people into spectators. People sit in the car. Then they sit at work. Then they sit during lunch. Then they sit at home. Then they sit in bed. And then they wonder why they feel tired all the time. That is the trap. Sitting is slowly stealing your life. That is not an exaggeration. The more you sit, the weaker your muscles become. Your legs get tighter. Your back starts to hurt. Your posture collapses. Your stomach grows. Your circulation slows down. Your energy disappears. You may not notice it right away. That is what makes it dangerous. The damage builds slowly. At first, it is just stiffness. Then it becomes lower back pain. Then it becomes weight gain. Then it becomes constant fatigue. Then one day you cannot walk upstairs without breathing hard. That is when people panic. But the truth is, the problem started years earlier. It started with sitting. You have a choice. You can keep living a comfortable life that slowly destroys your body. Or you can make movement part of your daily routine. That is the key. Comfort feels good today. But comfort destroys you tomorrow. Think about how many people complain about having no energy. They drink more coffee. They sleep more. They blame stress. But they never ask themselves the real question. How can you expect to feel energetic if you never move? Movement creates energy. That is the truth. The more you move, the more alive you feel. The more you sit, the more tired you become. That is why people who exercise regularly often have more energy than people who do nothing. Even after a long day. Even after hard work. Because the body responds to movement. Your muscles respond to movement. Your heart responds to movement. Your mind responds to movement. Everything gets stronger when you use it. And everything gets weaker when you ignore it. That includes your body. It is not about age. It is about habits. You see people in their 20s who already feel old. They have no energy, no strength, no flexibility. They are always tired, always uncomfortable, always complaining. Then you see people in their 50s or 60s who walk every day, stay active, and still move with confidence. Why? Because they never stopped using their body. That is the difference. It is not about being young. It is about staying active. You do not need to become an athlete. You do not need to spend hours in the gym. You just need to stop being completely still. Stand up more often. Walk after meals. Stretch every morning. Take the stairs. Walk while talking on the phone. Take short breaks during work. Move every hour. That is the key. Small movement is always better than no movement. A 10-minute walk is better than sitting. A short stretch is better than sitting. One set of squats is better than sitting. You do not need perfection. You need consistency. You need to stop telling yourself that you will start later. Later becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And eventually later becomes never. You do not want that. You do not want to wake up one day trapped inside a body that no longer listens to you. You do not want to become the person who cannot bend down without pain. The person who avoids stairs. The person who is always tired. The person who says, "I wish I took better care of myself." You have a choice. You can stay comfortable. Or you can stay capable. Because capability matters. Strength matters. Energy matters. Health matters. Your body is either getting stronger or weaker every single day. There is no middle ground. That is the hard truth. You do not need their permission. You do not need anyone to tell you it is time. It is already time. Stand up. Walk. Stretch. Move. Because sitting is slowly stealing your life. And every day you choose movement, you take your life back. You stopped waiting. You stopped sitting still. Now it is time to understand one of the biggest hidden benefits of exercise. Chapter 3. Exercise is the fastest mental health tool. You feel stressed. You feel anxious. You feel overwhelmed. You think you need rest, therapy, pills, or some magic solution. Stop. None of that comes close to the power of movement. Exercise is the fastest mental health tool you have. Period. There's nothing faster. There's nothing more effective. And here's the truth, you already know it. But you keep ignoring it. Your mind is like your body. If you don't train it, it weakens. If you don't move it, it stagnates. Stress accumulates. Anxiety multiplies. Thoughts spiral. You can sit there, scrolling your phone, thinking about your problems, waiting for relief to fall from the sky. Or you can act. Move. Lift. Run. Jump. That is your choice. You have a choice every single day. Exercise is medicine. Not metaphorically. Literally. When you move your body, your brain releases dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. These are chemicals that fight depression, anxiety, and stress better than any temporary distraction. And unlike pills, there are zero side effects. No one to write a prescription. No insurance required. Just your decision. That is the key. Let's be clear, this is not about aesthetics. It's not about losing 10 pounds or looking good at the beach. It's about mental dominance. It's about taking control of your brain when your brain wants to control you. The first 5 minutes are always the hardest. The first 5 minutes your mind screams, "I'm tired. I can't." Later. But those 5 minutes are the gateway to transformation. That is the key. You have a choice. Fight. Or surrender. That is your choice. Here's what happens when you commit. First, your stress drops. Heart rate normalizes. Sleep improves. You feel energy instead of exhaustion. Focus replaces mental fog. Anxiety shrinks. Confidence grows. Every rep, every step, every set is a message to your brain. I am stronger than my doubts. I am stronger than my fears. That is the key. You have a choice. Send that message or ignore it. That is your choice. Excuses will come. They always do. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'm too old. I'll start tomorrow. Stop it. All excuses are illusions. They are chains keeping you from mental freedom. You don't need a perfect schedule. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need anyone to approve it. You just need to start. That is the key. You have a choice. Start now, or stay trapped. That is your choice. Start small if you must. 10 push-ups. A short walk. 2 flights of stairs. That is enough. The point is to move. The point is to break the pattern of stagnation. Each small action compounds. Every day you show up, you're rewiring your brain. Every day you move, you are proving to yourself that you are in control. That is the key. You have a choice. Move or remain stuck. That is your choice. Here's another truth most people ignore. The mind resists improvement. Your brain loves comfort. It prefers the couch to the run. It prefers scrolling to lifting. And that resistance is normal. That resistance is natural. That resistance is your test. Every time you push past it, you grow. You strengthen your mind the same way you strengthen your body. Pain is temporary. Weakness is optional. That is the key. You have a choice. Fight or fold. That is your choice. Consistency is everything. 1 day of movement does nothing. 2 days do very little. But 3, 4, 5 days? Now you are rewiring your habits. Now your brain expects discipline. Now you are unstoppable. Your mood lifts. Stress fades. Energy surges. Confidence rises. That is the key. You have a choice. Consistency or chaos. That is your choice. Never underestimate the ripple effect. Exercise improves mental clarity. Mental clarity improves your decisions. Better decisions improve your life. You will sleep better, eat better, work better, interact better. Your energy infects your family, your friends, your colleagues. Mental strength breeds life strength. That is the key. You have a choice. Build strength. Or watch life pass by. That is your choice. Now let's talk about fear. The fear that you'll fail. The fear that you're too weak. The fear that it's too late. Exercise kills fear. Every completed set, every mile run, every drop of sweat is proof. You can do hard things. You can endure. You can win. That is the key. You have a choice. Face fear or let fear face you. That is your choice. Finally, let's bring it home. You cannot outsource your mental health. You cannot wait for someone else to fix your stress. You cannot wish it away. Exercise is the tool, the weapon, and the medicine. Pick it up. Use it. Repeat it. Every day. No excuses. No delay. No permission needed. That is the key. You have a choice. Take it. Or continue suffering. That is your choice. You mastered discipline through movement. You strengthened your mind through action. You rewired your brain for resilience. Now, let's take that mental edge and apply it to your life outside the gym. Chapter 4: Weak Habits Create Weak Bodies. Chapter 4: Weak Habits Create Weak Bodies. Your habits define you. Not your dreams. Not your intentions. Not your motivation. Your habits. Every day. Every choice. Every action. Weak habits create weak bodies. That is the truth. No exceptions. No excuses. That is the key. You have a choice. Build strong habits. Or stay weak. That is your choice. Let's break it down. You hit snooze every morning. That is a habit. You skip workouts. That is a habit. You eat convenience food instead of real food. That is a habit. Every habit compounds. Every habit stacks. Weak habits create weak bodies, weak minds, and weak lives. That is the key. You have a choice. Change your habits. Or accept weakness. That is your choice. Here's what most people do wrong. They wait for inspiration to build habits. Wrong. Habits are not built on feelings. They are built on repetition. On discipline. On showing up even when you don't want to. That is the key. You have a choice. Show up consistently. Or stay a spectator. That is your choice. Start small. Start today. 1 glass of water in the morning. 1 short walk. 1 extra push-up. 1 healthy choice. Small habits lead to big results. Big results do not happen overnight. They happen day after day after day. That is the key. You have a choice. Start small. Or stay small. That is your choice. Your environment is feeding your habits. Look around. Your house, your office, your friends, your routines, they are either helping you or holding you back. Weak environments breed weak habits. Strong environments breed strong habits. That is the key. You have a choice. Shape your environment. Or let it shape you. That is your choice. Now let's talk excuses, because they are everywhere. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. Stop lying to yourself. Those are weak habits disguised as reasons. Excuses are habits. They are trained responses. And they keep you weak. That is the key. You have a choice. Break the habit of excuses. Or remain weak. That is your choice. Discipline beats motivation. Habits beat feelings. Show up even when you don't want to. Eat right even when you crave sugar. Move your body even when it hurts. Small, consistent actions build strength. Weak habits build weakness. That is the key. You have a choice. Be disciplined. Or be average. That is your choice. The first step is always the hardest. You know it. You feel it. That resistance in your brain, the voice saying, I can't. Later. Not today. That is normal. That is your enemy. That is the exact signal that you must act. Push past it. Every time you fight that first urge to quit, you reinforce strength. That is the key. You have a choice. Fight. Or surrender. That is your choice. Here's the truth no one tells you. Habits are not glamorous. They are repetitive. They are boring. They are tedious. That is how they work. Consistency over excitement. Action over emotion. Discipline over desire. Weak habits are exciting. They feel good in the moment. Strong habits are hard, but they create transformation. That is the key. You have a choice. Choose transformation. Or choose temporary comfort. That is your choice. Track your habits. Write them down. Check them off. Make them visible. Momentum comes from seeing progress. A weak body is the result of invisible, unchecked habits. A strong body is the result of daily, deliberate, recorded choices. That is the key. You have a choice. Track your actions, or drift aimlessly. That is your choice. Accountability changes everything. Weak people hide. Strong people report. Share your habits. Report your workouts. Report your meals. Report your wins. Report your failures. That is how habits get reinforced. Weak habits thrive in secrecy. Strong habits thrive in clarity. That is the key. You have a choice. Be accountable, or stay weak. That is your choice. Let's talk about the compounding effect. One habit missed is a loss. One habit kept is a win. A week of wins builds momentum. A month of wins builds strength. A year of wins transforms your body, your mind, your life. Weak habits compound too: debt, health decline, low energy, regret. Strong habits compound into dominance, power, confidence, and freedom. That is the key. You have a choice. Compound strength, or compound weakness. That is your choice. Here's a simple exercise to start today. Pick one habit to improve. 1. Not 5. Not 10. 1. Do it consistently. Track it. Repeat it every day. Make it non-negotiable. Make it automatic. That is the key. You have a choice. Build one habit, or stay weak. That is your choice. Remember, your habits are your identity. You do not rise above your habits. You become your habits. Weak habits make weak bodies. Weak habits make weak minds. Weak habits make weak lives. Strong habits make strong bodies. Strong habits make strong minds. Strong habits make powerful lives. That is the key. You have a choice. Shape your habits, or be shaped by them. That is your choice. You mastered awareness of your weakness. You learned the cost of excuses. You began building discipline. Now it's time to turn those habits into unstoppable strength. Chapter 5. Stop making excuses. Excuses are the silent killers of progress. They hide in your thoughts, in your words, in your routines. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. Stop it. Stop lying to yourself. Stop giving your power away. Excuses are easy. Discipline is hard. Weak people make excuses. Strong people take action. That is the key. You have a choice. Excuse or action. That is your choice. Let's be clear. No one is coming to save you. Nobody is going to drag you to the gym. Nobody is going to feed you clean meals. Nobody is going to force you to move when your body wants comfort. That is your life. Your choices. Your responsibility. That is the key. You have a choice. Take control, or stay a victim. That is your choice. Excuses come from fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of discomfort. Fear of change. And here's the truth: those fears are lying. They are illusions designed to keep you weak. The moment you act despite fear, you strip it of power. Every time you move, you grow. Every time you show up, you strengthen your mind. That is the key. You have a choice. Face fear or surrender. That is your choice. Most people think excuses are harmless. I'll start tomorrow. I'll skip today. I deserve a break. False. Every excuse compounds. Every excuse trains your brain to avoid discipline. Every excuse weakens your body, your mind, and your life. That is the key. You have a choice. Build excuses or build strength. That is your choice. Let's break the patterns. First, recognize your excuses. Write them down. Say them out loud. Name them. Fear of failure, laziness, distraction, fatigue. Now destroy them. Replace them with action. Replace them with discipline. Replace them with results. That is the key. You have a choice. Excuse or action. That is your choice. Here's the reality. Motivation will not come first. Inspiration will not arrive. You are not special. You are not different. You will feel resistance. You will feel tired. You will want to quit. That is normal. That is the test. That is the moment to move anyway. Discipline beats motivation. Consistency beats feelings. That is the key. You have a choice. Move or stagnate. That is your choice. Excuses are habitual. You wake up. You hit snooze. You skip water. You eat garbage. You sit. You scroll. Every action trains your brain. Every excuse strengthens weakness. That is the key. You have a choice. Break the habit of excuses. Or continue living small. That is your choice. Action is a muscle. You have to train it. Start small. Take one step today. One workout. One clean meal. One healthy habit. Do it again tomorrow. Do it again the next day. Momentum builds fast. Excuses shrink. Confidence rises. Strength grows. That is the key. You have a choice. Train action. Or let excuses train you. That is your choice. Here's another truth. Accountability crushes excuses. Tell someone your plan. Report your progress. No hiding. No lying. No excuses. When you are accountable, excuses shrink. Results expand. That is the key. You have a choice. Be accountable. Or stay weak. That is your choice. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Your mind loves comfort. Your body loves comfort. And excuses are comfort in disguise. Comfortable today, weak tomorrow. Comfortable today, regret later. That is the key. You have a choice. Discomfort now, or regret forever. That is your choice. Let's talk about failure. You will fail. You will miss workouts. You will eat poorly. You will slip. That is not the excuse to quit. That is the signal to start again. Excuses prolong failure. Action shortens it. Discipline fixes it. That is the key. You have a choice. Learn from failure or hide behind excuses. That is your choice. Small wins defeat excuses. One workout completed. One healthy meal chosen. One habit maintained. Small wins stack. They compound. They create unstoppable momentum. One day of excuses is a loss. One day of action is progress. That is the key. You have a choice. Win small or lose big. That is your choice. Remember this. No one will fight for your body, your health, or your life. Only you. Excuses are easy. Results are earned. Weak people make excuses. Strong people take action. Every rep, every step, every meal, every choice. That is the key. You have a choice. Excuse or action. That is your choice. You mastered the art of recognizing excuses. You built awareness. You began small wins. Now it's time to use that discipline to transform your strength, your body, and your life. Chapter 6. Strength changes everything. Strength changes everything. Not just your body, not just your muscles. Your strength defines your mindset, your confidence, your resilience, your energy. Strength bleeds into every part of your life. Weakness bleeds too. Weakness destroys everything. That is the key. You have a choice. Build strength, or stay weak. That is your choice. Strength is not just physical. It's mental, emotional, spiritual. When you push your body, your mind learns to endure. When you lift heavy, your mind lifts heavier burdens. When you conquer one set, you conquer fear, doubt, and laziness. That is the key. You have a choice. Grow strong, or live small. That is your choice. Most people think strength is about appearance. Muscles, six-pack, vanity. Wrong. Strength is about control. Control over your choices. Control over your habits. Control over your life. Strength lets you say no to temptation. Strength lets you overcome excuses. Strength lets you face challenges and win. That is the key. You have a choice. Build strength, or surrender to weakness. That is your choice. Weak people are reactive. Strong people are proactive. Weak people complain. Strong people act. Weak people quit. Strong people endure. Weak people blame. Strong people take responsibility. That is the key. Strength changes your entire approach to life. That is the key. You have a choice. Be strong, or be weak. That is your choice. Here's the hard truth: strength is earned. It's not given. It's not inherited. It's built rep by rep, set by set, day by day. There is no shortcut. There is no hack. There is no secret. Just work, sweat, discipline. That is the key. You have a choice. Work for it, or accept weakness. That is your choice. Start small if you must. Push-ups, pull-ups, squats, a walk, a jog. Strength starts with action. Strength grows with consistency. Strength compounds with effort. Every day you choose to do more than yesterday, you get stronger. That is the key. You have a choice. Grow strong, or stay weak. That is your choice. Your body reflects your life. Weak habits make weak bodies. Weak bodies make weak minds. Weak minds make weak decisions. Weak decisions destroy opportunity. Strong bodies make strong minds. Strong minds make strong decisions. Strong decisions create unstoppable momentum. That is the key. You have a choice. Build strength, or remain weak. That is your choice. Pain is part of growth. You will feel it. Muscle soreness, fatigue, discomfort. That is normal. That is necessary. That is the price of strength. Every time you endure pain, you grow. Every time you push through, you transform. Pain is temporary. Weakness is permanent. That is the key. You have a choice. Endure pain, or endure regret. That is your choice. Discipline creates strength. Habits create strength. Routine creates strength. Action creates strength. Weakness is created by the absence of all these things. Do not wait for inspiration. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Strength is built when you act now. That is the key. You have a choice. Act, or stay weak. That is your choice. Here's a mental trick. See every challenge as a test. Every weight, every workout, every rep, every difficult moment is a chance to prove yourself. Fail the test, and weakness wins. Pass the test, and strength grows. That is the key. You have a choice. Pass the test, or fail. That is your choice. Strength is contagious. When you grow stronger, you inspire others. When you overcome weakness, you set an example. When you endure, you teach endurance. Weakness spreads like a virus. Strength spreads like fire. That is the key. You have a choice. Be the fire, or be the virus. That is your choice. Consistency is the multiplier. One workout does little. 1 week of workouts starts a streak. 1 month of workouts changes your body. 1 year of workouts transforms your life. Strength compounds. Weakness compounds too. The difference is in your choices. That is the key. You have a choice. Compound strength or compound weakness. That is your choice. Finally, remember this: strength is freedom. Strength is confidence. Strength is control. Strength gives you power over your body, your mind, your environment, your life. Weakness gives you nothing. Weakness enslaves. Weakness controls. That is the key. You have a choice. Strength or weakness. That is your choice. You have mastered discipline. You have crushed excuses. You have begun building habits. Now it's time to use that strength to transform not just your body, but everything in your life. Chapter 7. The pain of exercise is better than the pain of regret. Pain is inevitable. Life is full of it. But there are 2 kinds of pain: pain from action, pain from growth, and pain from regret. Pain from sitting idle, pain from excuses, pain from weakness. That pain lasts forever. The pain of exercise? Temporary. The pain of regret? Permanent. That is the key. You have a choice. Endure temporary pain, or suffer permanent regret. That is your choice. Think about it. 1 hour of hard work at the gym, 1 long run, 1 challenging set, painful, yes. Sweaty, sore, exhausted, yes. But tomorrow, you feel alive, stronger, energized, confident. That is the reward. Now compare that to a lifetime of excuses. A lifetime of saying, "I'll start tomorrow." A lifetime of watching others succeed while you stand still. That is regret. That is permanent. That is the key. You have a choice. Pain now, or regret forever. That is your choice. Most people avoid discomfort. They chase comfort. They hit snooze. They skip workouts. They eat junk. They scroll their phones. And every choice adds weight, not just to their body, but to their soul. Weakness accumulates. Laziness compounds. Regret grows. That is the key. You have a choice. Face discomfort, or bury yourself in regret. That is your choice. Exercise teaches you to endure. Every push-up, every squat, every mile, every drop of sweat. You learn to fight. You learn to resist quitting. You learn to push past your comfort zone. That endurance transfers to life. Stress at work? You handle it. Conflict in relationships? You handle it. Failure in business? You handle it. That is the key. You have a choice. Build endurance, or crumble. That is your choice. Let's talk excuses, because they are the gateway to regret. I'm tired. I'll start tomorrow. I can't. Those are lies. They are weakness masquerading as reason. The only truth is action. Move your body. Push your limits. Commit to growth. Every time you fight an excuse, you shrink regret. Every time you choose action, you grow strength. That is the key. You have a choice. Fight excuses, or live in regret. That is your choice. Start small. Start today. 10 push-ups. A short walk. 1 extra set. 1 more rep. That is enough. Momentum builds from small wins. Weakness fades. Confidence grows. Regret shrinks. That is the key. You have a choice. Start small. Or stay stuck. That is your choice. Pain is temporary. It hurts in the moment. Your muscles burn. Your lungs ache. Your body trembles. That is normal. That is how growth happens. That is how strength forms. Regret is different. Regret never ends. Regret whispers every day. You should have tried. You should have pushed. You should have started. That whisper grows louder with every missed workout. That is the key. You have a choice. Endure pain or endure regret. That is your choice. Weak people choose comfort. Strong people choose growth. Weak people hit snooze. Strong people hit the gym. Weak people scroll social media. Strong people scroll only for inspiration, then act. Weak people quit. Strong people persist. That is the key. Strength beats weakness. Action beats inaction. Growth beats comfort. You have a choice. Be strong or be weak. That is your choice. Here's a mental hack. Visualize both pains. Visualize the temporary pain of effort. Feel it. Then visualize the permanent pain of regret. Feel that too. Which one will you choose? The body recovers. The mind adapts. The spirit strengthens. The regret? It lingers. Forever. That is the key. You have a choice. Choose wisely. That is your choice. Consistency compounds. 1 day of effort changes nothing. 2 days of effort? Small impact. 1 week? Noticeable difference. 1 month? Transformation begins. 1 year? Life changed. Compare that to excuses. 1 day of laziness feels fine. 1 week? Stagnation. 1 month? Weakness. 1 year? Regret. That is the key. You have a choice. Compound action or compound regret. That is your choice. Pain teaches discipline. Discipline teaches control. Control teaches confidence. Confidence changes everything. Regret teaches nothing but sorrow. Regret corrodes the mind. Regret destroys opportunity. That is the key. You have a choice. Build discipline or build regret. That is your choice. No one will fight your battles for you. No one will endure the pain for you. No one will lift the weight. Only you. The pain is yours. The victory is yours. The regret is yours. That is reality. That is life. That is the key. You have a choice. Endure pain or endure regret. That is your choice. Small wins defeat regret. 1 extra rep, 1 extra set, 1 extra mile, 1 extra disciplined choice. Those victories build momentum. They destroy excuses. They shrink weakness. They crush regret. That is the key. You have a choice. Win small or lose to regret. That is your choice. You mastered consistency. You built strength. You crushed excuses. Now, it's time to face discomfort head-on and use it to build a life without regrets. Chapter 8. Small wins create massive change. You underestimate small wins. You think they don't matter. You think only huge actions change your life. Wrong. Small wins are the foundation of transformation. Tiny choices. Tiny victories. Tiny habits. They stack. They compound. They create unstoppable momentum. That is the key. You have a choice. Win small. Or stay stuck. That is your choice. Every major success started as a small win. One push-up. One workout. One meal. One habit. One disciplined choice. One step forward. That's it. Nothing glamorous. Nothing impressive at first. But repeated daily, consistently, relentlessly, small wins create massive change. That is the key. You have a choice. Start small. Or remain average. That is your choice. Think about your day. One extra set of push-ups. One more minute running. One healthy meal instead of junk. That is a win. It seems insignificant. It feels tiny. But it trains your mind. It reinforces discipline. It grows your confidence. Tiny victories build strength. Tiny victories shape identity. That is the key. You have a choice. Choose small wins, or surrender to weakness. That is your choice. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for a huge breakthrough. They wait for the perfect conditions. Wrong. Motivation comes after action, not before. Breakthrough comes after consistent wins. Perfect conditions never come. Small wins today. Small wins tomorrow. Small wins every day. That is the key. You have a choice. Act now, or wait forever. That is your choice. Small wins beat procrastination. One step forward destroys hesitation. One set completed destroys doubt. One healthy meal destroys temptation. Momentum builds. Energy rises. Confidence grows. Weakness fades. That is the key. You have a choice. Win small, or lose to stagnation. That is your choice. Here's the truth. Small wins are invisible at first. You will not notice change immediately. You will feel the grind. You will feel repetition. You will feel discomfort. But 1 month later, the change is undeniable. 3 months later, transformation is visible. 6 months later, life is unrecognizable. That is the key. You have a choice. Trust small wins, or dismiss them. That is your choice. Consistency compounds small wins into massive victories. One workout doesn't make you fit. One meal doesn't make you healthy. One disciplined morning doesn't make you unstoppable. But repeated daily? That builds momentum. That builds identity. That builds power. Weak people ignore small wins. Strong people leverage them. That is the key. You have a choice. Leverage small wins, or let them slip away. That is your choice. Here's the mindset shift you need. Stop chasing huge results. Stop waiting for massive motivation. Stop thinking success happens overnight. Focus on what you can do today. One extra rep. One more minute. One healthier choice. That is your leverage. That is your power. That is how massive change is created. That is the key. You have a choice. Focus today, or regret tomorrow. That is your choice. Small wins defeat excuses. I don't have time. One 10-minute walk. I'm too tired. One set of push-ups. I'll start tomorrow. Start today. Small actions build momentum. Excuses die in the face of consistent effort. That is the key. You have a choice. Win small, or let excuses win. That is your choice. Celebrate wins. Not everything. Not every day. But acknowledge progress. Track it. Write it down. See it visually. Momentum feeds momentum. Action feeds confidence. Weakness feeds regret. That is the key. You have a choice. Track wins, or drift aimlessly. That is your choice. Small wins are identity builders. One disciplined choice tells your mind, I am disciplined. One workout completed tells your brain, I am strong. One healthy meal tells your body, I respect myself. Over time, identity forms. You become the person who never quits, who always shows up, who always fights. That is the key. You have a choice. Build identity, or remain weak. That is your choice. The compound effect is unstoppable. Each small win adds to the last. Each choice compounds over weeks, months, and years. One day of effort is small. 1 month of effort is massive. 1 year of effort is life-changing. Weakness compounds too, but regret is far heavier than effort. That is the key. You have a choice. Compound wins, or compound weakness. That is your choice. Small wins build momentum. Momentum builds strength. Strength builds confidence. Confidence builds transformation. This is how extraordinary lives are built. Not through luck. Not through motivation. Not through inspiration. Through consistent, relentless, small wins. That is the key. You have a choice. Commit to small wins, or stay ordinary. That is your choice. You have mastered the pain of action. You have learned discipline. You have crushed excuses. Now it's time to leverage those small wins into unstoppable momentum for every aspect of your life. Chapter 9. Your environment is shaping your health. Your environment is not neutral. It is working on you every second. Your home, your workplace, your friends, your routines, your habits, they shape your health whether you like it or not. Every choice you make is influenced by the space you live in. That is the key. You have a choice. Shape your environment, or let it shape you. That is your choice. Look around you. What do you see? Are there distractions everywhere? Junk food in the kitchen? A couch that calls your name? Social media feeding your mind with laziness and excuses? That is your environment shaping your habits and shaping your body. That is the key. You have a choice. Control it, or be controlled. That is your choice. Weak environments breed weak bodies. Lazy spaces, tempting surroundings, enabling friends, all of them chip away at discipline. Every day, your environment whispers, take the easy path. Sit. Indulge. Quit. And most people listen. They obey. That is the key. You have a choice. Listen to discipline, or listen to weakness. That is your choice. Strong environments breed strong bodies. Declutter your space. Remove temptation. Surround yourself with action-oriented people. Fill your fridge with real food. Keep your shoes and gym gear ready. Set reminders for movement. Make your environment a support, not a trap. That is the key. You have a choice. Design your environment, or suffer the consequences. That is your choice. Weak environments create constant friction. You must fight to eat right. Fight to move. Fight to focus. Fight to resist. Strong environments make the right choice easier than the wrong choice. Your environment can be a silent coach, or a silent saboteur. That is the key. You have a choice. Make it your ally, or make it your enemy. That is your choice. Here's how to start. Assess your space. Remove distractions. Add tools for growth. Gym equipment, healthy snacks, reminders, notes, positive cues. Surround yourself with movement, discipline, and energy. Track what works. Eliminate what doesn't. Your environment should be working for you, not against you. That is the key. You have a choice. Shape it, or be shaped by it. That is your choice. Accountability is part of your environment. People, systems, reminders, they create pressure to act. Weak people hide. Strong people build systems that support their habits. That is the key. You have a choice. Build accountability, or drift aimlessly. That is your choice. Never underestimate subtle cues. Music, lighting, smells, visual reminders, they all affect energy and focus. A cluttered space creates mental clutter. A clean, organized, action-oriented environment creates clarity and focus. That is the key. You have a choice. Control your cues, or let them control you. That is your choice. Your environment is shaping your health every moment of every day. It is working either for you or against you. Stop blaming motivation. Stop blaming genetics. Stop blaming luck. Look around. Look at your space. Look at your people. Look at your routines. That is the truth. That is reality. That is the key. You have a choice. Take control, or suffer silently. That is your choice. Your friends influence your choices more than you realize. Energy is contagious. Weak friends breed weak habits. Excuse-driven friends amplify your laziness. Strong friends push you to do better. They hold you accountable. They challenge you. They inspire action. That is the key. You have a choice. Choose your tribe, or stay weak. That is your choice. Technology shapes your mind and body. Social media, endless scrolling, streaming, notifications, these are designed to steal your time, energy, and health. Every hour spent mindlessly scrolling is an hour lost from movement, growth, and discipline. That is the key. You have a choice. Control your tech, or let it control you. That is your choice. Environment is more than physical. It is mental. What you read, watch, listen to, feeds your mind. Weak content creates weak thinking. Weak thinking creates weak choices. Strong content, uplifting, educational, motivational, action-oriented, creates strong minds. Strong minds create strong bodies. Strong bodies create strong lives. That is the key. You have a choice. Feed your mind, or starve it. That is your choice. Small adjustments matter. Move your workout clothes by your bed. Keep water within reach. Replace chips with fruit. Replace excuses with reminders. These tiny changes in your environment make healthy choices automatic. Weak environments make you rely on willpower. Strong environments remove reliance on willpower. That is the key. You have a choice. Optimize your space, or struggle every day. That is your choice. Your habits are your identity, but your environment is the invisible architect of those habits. You cannot rely solely on discipline. Discipline will waver. Motivation will fade. But a strong environment reinforces action every day. That is the key. You have a choice. Build a supportive environment, or live in chaos. That is your choice.